Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money, with your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 782 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Brigitta Hoeferle, and she is educating and inspiring others from the heart. She's got degrees in marketing, communication, and this is, I'm from the other side of the tracks. This is social pedagogy. Goji. That's way above my pay grade right there, that word. And education science. She's a highly qualified and professional international speaker. And today she's going to be talking about listening, communication, NLP, and the laws of success. And let's see, hope you didn't miss episode 781. That was Ali, the professor from the Ali 2 podcast, and he's quite a hoot. I forget what we talked about there, but he's actually a mental health professional by day, and then a podcast aficionado by night. Anytime you want to get to a back episode, go to screwthecommute.com/ and then the episode number. Also, another real important one you should listen to is episode 777. That was an intro to Threads, the new pain in the neck social media thing we got to figure out. All right. Let's see. Pick up a copy of our automation ebook at screwthecommute.com/automate free. You will thank me for saving you hundreds and hundreds of hours of playing with your computer when you could be making money. And follow me at Digital Multimillionaire on TikTok. All right, let's get to the main event. Brigitta Hoeferle, try to spell that, folks, is a powerfully engaging and professional international speaker. She's known as the most fast-tracked female trainer and retired lead coach of one of the largest self-development companies in the world. She's a highly respected strategic leader in the field of human behavior and communication. And here's what she's known as: the German female business owner who lives the American dream, all right, and a master speaker, business coach, and experienced mentor. Brigitta, are you ready to screw the commute?
My gosh, let's do it, Tom.
Brigitta, I want to tell you why I don't trust you.
Uh-oh.
Your husband proposed to you in 3 weeks. Nobody does. You must have used some of your NLP on him or does some kind of magic.
I was not even NLP trained or certified at that time. And you know what, Tom? I like to look at patterns. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the Screw the Commute show. I love your podcast. Like, you embody giving value and being of service to people.
I appreciate all that, but you're dodging the point of you somehow hoodwink this guy.
I'm coming to that.
In 3 weeks. Nobody does that.
Yeah, and here's a success pattern to that. I'm not one to give up. I'm not one to, just say I quit. But I was 28 years old, and I think, or back at that time, I thought I should get a Nobel Peace Prize for dating the most jerks on this earth. And I did everyone. And I was like, forget it. I've had it. I'm done with you guys. I'm just going to eventually have children on my own. Not sure how I was going to do that, but that was just my mindset. I was like, screw everyone. And I'm just going to live my life the way that I want to live it. And then I met my now husband, and he asked me out. And Tom, I like to dress nice. If you ever seen me,
yes,
I like
always
to dress
beautifully.
nice. I like to, I like fashion. And the day that I met my now husband, he wore, I kid you not, the most hideous sweater ever. I was able to look past that. I was able to say, you know what? It's a sweater. We're just eventually going to burn it, which we did in like a little ritual. But when we started building rapport and connecting and talking for hours and hours and hours, I was like, oh my gosh, he's everything I've ever asked for. And that's when he proposed to me 3 weeks later. I was like, yeah, dude, you're basically a dream come true.
Yeah, but I think you tricked him because you look like Doris Day, which I understand you're obsessed with. You were same hairdo, everything.
That is the biggest compliment for me, and the biggest turnoff for my husband. My husband hates Doris Day. I adore Doris Day. I think she hung the moon.
Well, did she dress in black and you have red lipstick all the time? Is that what her thing was?
No,
Is that just you?
Doris Day, I don't think Doris Day was this flashy. Doris Day had a lot of hats. I am a collector of hats. I don't know. There was just something about Doris Day that was unpredictable.
Well, at least she wasn't baking German sweetbread and picking out on it all the time. I can't believe you said sometime that you were overweight, because you have been nothing but perfect ever since I've seen you.
Yeah, man, I was really overweight. My parents moved to the States when I was 10. And we only lived in the States for 2 years, but boy, those 2 years, the Pop-Tarts and the cereal and the other, not good stuff that was available to me at that time did a real number on me.
So you mean you ate all this German sweetbread and that didn't do anything?
No, that's the good stuff though. That's the good stuff.
So how do you say that German sweetbread in German?
If it's off.
If it's off. That sounds like, if the weight comes off, then I can eat more sweetbread. Now, I understand you claim to have had a Southern German dialect. Is that like in the United States, like the Southern drawl kind of thing? What's a regular German dialect and a Southern?
Yeah, it's a total Southern drawl. And the Northerns, there's when you speak proper German, it's called High German. And anyone that speaks High German would make fun, and to this day makes fun of the way that I speak. I'm basically, Tom, a German redneck. That's what I am.
A gedneck, we'll call it, or a jernneck. Well, I'm glad you came on the show, because I know you love antiques, and I'm becoming one, so I'm glad you decided to grace me with your presence. And because we love people who can decode success patterns, and that's part of what you do, right?
That's what I do, and I love to peel back the layers and patterns, because once you can see a pattern, Tom, you can either do more of it if it's supporting you, or you can do less of it and tweak items or strategies within the pattern to make it work for you.
Is that what NLP is all about, is patterns?
NLP is about many things, but if you look at the core, it's the meta program of our language. And, as kids, I know your background story, which is so incredibly powerful. And
yeah, I was a ballet dancer. You know that, right?
Yes, you were very graceful as well. I mean, you are.
For an elephant, yeah.
Whatever the people that have a huge impact on us, our parents, our teachers, our friends, within the first 7 years of our life, those things that we learn from them, that we're basically looking up to them, that they're modeling for us, those are patterns, those are belief systems, those are values that we take on as our own. And some of them are really, really good. Like you have an incredible success pattern because was it your dad
My
that
dad.
put pillows in front of you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was your dad. So your dad put obstacles in front of you that you can overcome. So it would be, it's just second nature to you. There's never a question of, can I overcome that? Oh, I've overcome that my entire life. So why shouldn't I be able to overcome that? And that is a beautiful pattern of overcoming obstacles.
Some people weren't so lucky. Some people weren't so lucky.
Some people aren't so lucky. Some people are hearing, like my neighbor, Tom, she's from Italy and she has 4 small children. And I hear her yell at her son, "Hey, Enrico, stupido." And I'm like, you can't, when you're telling your child that they're stupid, guess what? They're going to believe that. That's a pattern.
Well, he might have been
pattern, but it's still a pattern.
He might have been breaking the spaghetti before he boiled it. That's blasphemy.
That is blasphemy for an Italian. I agree on that. But nevertheless, be mindful of, we got to be mindful as not just parents, but as adults, because there are kids, there are adolescents watching us if we think they're watching us or not. And I think social media has a big part in that nowadays as well.
Well, how do you think, for instance, yes, my dad was a tremendously great influence, but my mother was hell on wheels, trouble.
Yeah.
And some people grow up, and I've said this myself, is I had her as a certain role model, but I decided to not be like her. I'm going to go opposite instead of ingrain the things that she had. How did that happen to me? Was I just lucky? Was it my dad's influence was stronger? What do you think happened?
Well, it could be that you just had such an incredible bond with your dad that the other side of your upbringing was just not as strong. And you're right, there is a decision. So there are more factors playing into that than just one example or one exercise or one instance. As humans, we're looking for evidence. Our belief system is a sense of, or a belief is a sense of certainty. And that sense of certainty is based on not just one incident or one example or one data point. It is evidence that is gathered over a longer period of time. And the more evidence you have, the more you crawl over obstacles or overcome obstacles, the more evidence pieces you have that you can actually overcome them.
So you're saying that if somebody did have crappy patterns when they were growing up, they can create new patterns.
They can create new patterns when they're aware that the crappy patterns are not supporting them. Or if they have someone when they're younger, they have someone in their court that will believe in them. Here's the belief system again. They believe in, like there's so many stories of teachers that believed in a child where the child would come home and they would hear at home of how stupido they are, but they would hear from a teacher of all of the greatness that the teacher sees in that child, or vice versa. They're great motivational speakers that heard from a teacher in school that their IQ was not anywhere close to where it needs to be. But then there was a parent at home that said, I believe in you. We're going to work on whatever it is that they're working on. So it just takes that one person that really helps you gather those data points that creates that really, really strong success pattern.
I love it when somebody tells you how crappy you are, and then they end up asking you for a job later.
That's right.
So
that's absolutely right.
So you're real big on listening, and I keep reverting back to NLP because on the surface, people that haven't dug into it much, and I haven't either, we think of it as mirroring people and spitting back to them what they said to us, and supposedly that gives us a leg up on them. Is that just too juvenile?
Well, it's simplifying it greatly, and there's some truth to that. And that's basically what listening is, because a lot of people get listening and waiting mixed up.
Listening and what?
Waiting. So they're waiting. They're
I see. They're just waiting to see what they're going to say, or to say their.
Yeah. They're waiting until it's their turn to spew up their agenda and drive it home and sound, interesting and of all of the great things that they have been doing. But they're not really interested in the other person. If we leave NLP on the sidelines, and like I said, NLP is the meta program of our language. But if we leave NLP on the sidelines, just as human behavior, as a pattern that I think would benefit everyone, is to slow down, listen to the other person, not to respond to them, but to connect with them. Because when we respond, it is there's something that I want to contribute to that person, But when I'm listening on a deeper level, I can connect with them. And the response may be a part of the connection, but the relating is really the bigger part. How do I relate to that other person? And how do I validate them in what they're saying?
Now, does it, again, maybe juvenile, but I mean, if they lean back, should you lean back? And all that kind of stuff we've been told. If they cross their fingers, you cross your, stuff like that. Is that BS?
No, it's not BS. And if you would watch, and I have a heyday watching people, out in public, or even on Zoom. A lot of people do that subconsciously. Like when I teach a webinar and I would, tell people, hey, I got a secret for you. And I ask them to lean in because I'm going to whisper it to them. Even without me inviting them to lean in and I'm just modeling it, they're leaning in. Or when I start, tilting my head to the left, some people will follow me tilting their head a little bit. All of that is happening subconsciously, and it happens when you have a connection with someone. It happens when you have rapport with folks.
Okay, well, let me ask you this. I got a very specific example that I thought up. Okay. Of course, I'm always going to think up crazy stuff, right? So let's say you're a salesperson.
Yeah.
And let's say you're very religious and you don't cuss. But the person you're trying to sell starts cussing. As part, not cussing at you, but as part of their vernacular. Mm-hmm. Would you cuss back?
No, I would either call it out and say, I hear you're using some strong language. What's the reason behind the strong language, and start building a relationship there? Because now I'm really interested on why that person is doing what they're doing.
Okay.
In case of, like let's take Gary V. Like Gary Vaynerchuk loves to use language like that.
Right.
Why does he use it? He uses because that's part of his brand. And that's another strategy of NLP. It's a pattern interrupt. He's interrupting someone's pattern so they will listen to him. It might not always be positive, interrupting that pattern. It might not always be positive, building rapport with that person. But those people, he decides in that moment that they weed themselves out. I don't want to work with them. If they're so offended, if they cannot look past my cussing, I don't want to work with them.
Exactly, yeah. So he knows that he's going to turn a certain faction off, but the other side of it to him is so enormous that he continues it.
Right. Exactly. And by the way, Tony Robbins is something very similar, and he uses it as a pattern interrupt as well. When he works from large stages and he goes into his stadium events, into the participants, into the audience, and he decides he's going to work with one person, he gets so in their face with offensive language that the person is so startled. And that language goes directly into their subconscious mind. So he is breaking down patterns quickly with offensive language to get to where he wants to go.
Now, if is he? I'm not a big follower of him, but if he saw that person didn't react the way he was, would he go to another person?
He probably,
It's kind of like the hypnotist that has you pretending you're holding balloons, and the people that their arms go up, he knows they're more susceptible. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's a test, because everything in life is a test. So it's a test. Is that person open and available to work with, or are they not?
Okay. So go ahead.
And that's another strategy called ecological consideration. So in anything that we do, and I mean anyone in life, in anything that you do, parenting, sales, God knows what, you have an ecology. You can decide, is it worth my time, energy, and money to work with that person or to do the things that I'm about to do?
So what is that called again?
Ecological consideration.
Ecological consideration. Okay. And, okay. So we talked about listening a little bit. Now you talked, in your intro said something about your NLP Laws of Success. What are some of those laws?
What are some of those laws? The greatest law, my favorite law, is the law of requisite variety, and that states the person with the
Wait a
most
minute, slow down. I don't know about the people that listen to this, but I know I'm not that fast. So requisite, is that what you said?
Law.
Requisite law.
Requisite variety. Requisite variety.
Variety. Got it. Okay. All
and
right.
that law states the person with the most flexibility controls the system. It's actually a law of physics. The person with the most flexibility controls the system. Now, that's one law.
Give me an example of that.
When you are most flexible in your behavior, you can build rapport if it's in your ecological consideration in adapting your behavior. Like, let's take your example of someone having very offensive language and they're cussing.
No, let's take the example. No, wait a minute. Let's take the example of me screwing up our interview last time and you being flexible. So I love you.
Well, that was a very easy exercise in flexibility because we just,
reschedule.
So Tom, let's take that for instance. If I were not flexible, I would have not called you, and I would have not returned your call. I think there was a call at some point. And C, we would not be on this call today.
That's right.
We would not be doing this recording.
So you're requisitely beautiful.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for that.
You can't dispute that.
So it's the flexibility is not in the body, like in, how you would practice in yoga. It is in your mindset and in your behavior. Mm-hmm. That's where the flexibility stems.
All right. Now, do you run into some people that are too flexible? They're too willing to bend, and it's to their detriment?
Right. Absolutely. There's both sides in the continuum, right?
So there's an optimal place. Too much and too little is bad, but there's an optimal.
There's an optimal, but who decides how optimal it is? I think that is a trial and error. Here's the test again, what I said earlier. There's a trial and error in finding out, okay, so if I'm a complete pushover, I am not getting what I desire, right? Where's the logical consideration? Because I'm putting all of my money, all of my resources, all of my time, everything into that, but I'm not getting what I desire.
Yeah.
So that's one side of the continuum. On the other side is I am so rigid that when I would decide to build a high rise, the high rise in the next wind would tip over because it's built so rigid, it's not able to be flexible enough to sway in the wind. Right. And if you don't know that, for the listeners, that high rises are flexible, oh yes, they are.
Got it. All right. So requisite. All right. What's the next law?
Let's see. It's all about expert modeling. We're constantly modeling for others. What I said earlier, there are people watching us. May you be aware of it or not. There are constantly people listening to you. May they be very consciously going on your podcast, or you're walking by, or they're just overhearing a conversation. But you are a constant expert model. So we learn, especially as kids, we learn from other people's behavior. We learn from other people's modeling, if you will.
Now, some people mess up by revealing what their real model when they have a facade model. Like, for instance, years ago when Mel Gibson was on a rant thing, an anti-Semitic rant that got recorded, and then he took a big hit. Alec Baldwin with just cussing his daughter out really nasty. So what do you think about that when people put on a facade, but that's not really what they're like?
That just brings me to the next law, and that is being congruent. So being in alignment with the words that you say and how you say them, and your internal representation. So is it just something that you're saying for the sake of saying it, or is it something that you truly believe that drives you, that is congruent and in alignment with the person that you are?
Very few politicians got that law down.
Don't get me started with politicians. Do not get me started with politicians. But the congruency, and when you take all cameras away and when you take all microphones away, that's when the real people show up. Now, you and I, we have seen a lot of people that are, on big stages, and that are, the experts that are known by millions of people. And I look at these kind of people because I work with them on stage and backstage. And when the person that I see on stage and the person that I see backstage are the same person, that's when I know that law of congruency is actually working for them.
That's the biggest compliment I get from people. You're the same guy on stage as you are off stage. Just talking with people, I'm a small town guy, just be nice to everybody. And there's no big dog and pony show up there. So that's congruency. All right, give me one more.
There is no failure, only feedback.
So did you coach like Thomas Edison?
No.
You know who that is? You're German.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute. Yeah, of course. No, but he got a lot of feedback.
Right. That's a lot of feedback for sure.
He got over 1,000 tries of feedback.
Yeah, I think he said, they said, aren't you depressed from failing that much? He says, no, I just found like 10,000 things that didn't work.
Exactly. And that, you hear, and
what's
I know
that
that
called?
you and I, we've talked about network marketing, and I'm not a fan of network marketing, but there are people that are great at it. So I don't want to dismiss that, but it's not for me. But in network marketing, you often hear, winners never quit and quitters never win, something like that. But what it really boils down to is when we have been programmed in our schooling, in our traditional schools, to fail forward or to look at failure. And then we get a grade if we fail, according to that. But what we can focus on is there's learnings in that. There's feedback in me tripping over my own feet 3 times in a row and then learning, well, actually, maybe I need to get a smaller size shoes and my shoes are too big, or maybe I just need to strengthen my leg muscles or whatever. So there's an underlying learning in that. But what most people are focusing on is, well, I can't walk, therefore I'm a dummy. Well, that's not true. And I'm giving a very stupid example.
In some cases it is. I can think of a couple people. That analogy you used, the winners never, all that stuff. It's funny that you say it's from network marketing. That's, hundreds of years old and from sports.
Oh, yeah. Well, okay.
They claimed it, I think, or they commandeered it. So you're living the American dream, huh?
Yeah, I think I am, because I come from a culture, if you know anything about the German culture, I come from a culture where the glass is half empty. Well, if you really strip it back, there is no glass. Everything is like grim pessimism. And that's one reason why I think we are so good as Germans in engineering, because we're very rigid in our mindset and we're constantly improving. Now, I am constantly improving by just, I'm the one that would build the airplane on my way down and figuring out what I can do on my way down, right? A German a true German, and I am German. I was born and raised in Germany. I moved to the United States in 2004, so I was well in my,
teens.
I just turned 30. So I'm not your typical German. And maybe that's one reason why I finally decided I don't belong here.
Well, also, I heard you talking about a school you started, which was fantastic, because of, I guess, non-rigid learning environment.
It is a Montessori school is a non-rigid learning environment, and it allows each individual child to learn at their pace, to learn at their speed. And that really spoke to me when I learned that going to school and getting my social pedagogy degree. I was like, wait a minute, there's schools like that? How come I never went to a school like that? I would have thrived in that school.
Yeah. So for everybody, all that are, uneducated like me, pedagogy, I looked it up. It's method and practice of teaching, especially with academic and theoretical subjects. There you go. There you go.
There you go.
You're welcome, folks.
Thank you.
So you're a dynamo. That's for sure. So we're going to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Brigitta what's a typical day look like for her and how she stays motivated. So folks, about 25 years ago or so, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, and that people at my level were charging 50 or 100 grand up front to teach what they knew. And I knew a lot of these people. They'd be hiding out in Germany if they gave them 50 grand up front. You'd never see them again. So I said, yeah, it's too risky and too dangerous and too hard for small business people to come up with that kind of money. So I kind of turned everything on its head, which kind of made them mad, in that I charged an entry fee, which is like 10% of what they were charging. And then I tied my success to your success. So for me to get my 50 grand, you had to net 200 grand. Well, people really like this, and 1,800 plus students later, it's still going strong. It's the longest running, most successful, most unique internet and digital marketing mentor program ever. It's unique, and it's all one-on-one. You don't get lumped in with groups. With myself and my whole staff, you have an immersion weekend at the Great Internet Marketing Retreat Center here in Virginia Beach. We have a TV studio. We shoot your marketing, teach you how to shoot marketing videos and shoot a bunch of them for you. Also, you get a scholarship to my school, which is the only licensed, dedicated internet and digital marketing school in the country, probably the world. And you can either use it yourself for extra training or gift it to someone. We had one guy spent $80,000 on his crap 4-year education for his daughter, and she had a crappy job. And he joined the mentor program, gifted the school to his daughter, and within 4 months, she was making $6,000 a month on the side, quit her job, and has a big agency now. So it's very powerful, in-demand skills that are very down to earth. So these are the actual how to do email, how to do social media, how to run shopping carts, how to blog, all the nuts and bolts stuff. So it's an in-demand skill, and every company on earth needs it. So check it out, greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. All right, let's get back to the main event. We got Brigitta Hoeferle here, and she is a dynamo educator, and she owns, I don't know, what's the names of your companies there, Brigitta?
The school is the Montessori School of Cleveland, very simple. The center is the Center of NLP, again, very simple. Then we have the Culture Mastery, we have the Center of Training, just to name a few.
Now, is it actually in Cleveland, this Montessori School of Cleveland?
It's in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Oh, I was going to say, well, but again, you're in Atlanta, so how did they happen to be located there?
Yeah, so we when we moved from Midtown Munich in Schwabing, it's a little area in Munich, Midtown, we decided to move to Tennessee, which is an area that my parents were had some roots. And little did we know anything a lot about Tennessee, but we moved there. We lived there for 13 years, and that's where we built the school. And as I was in 2011, I was starting to prepare my exit from the school. And I said, I need to find someone to take over the day-to-day operations. And then I was thinking to myself, that person needs to be more driven than me, needs to have a greater love for parents and students, needs to have more knowledge than me. And I'm writing all of these characteristics down, Tom, and I'm going, wait a minute, that person does not
Where are you going to find that unicorn? Right?
Yeah. But you know what? Just like my husband, when I got really clear on who is it that I am inviting in my life and who am I no longer inviting, 3 months later, Andy showed up, and Andy and his entire family are running the day-to-day operations since it's their 10-year anniversary this year.
See, you're spooky. You're spooky.
Just a little bit.
This woman this woman gets what she wants. She like manifests it and bam, it shows up.
Yep. I get really clear. So
can you help me with lottery numbers or anything?
No. I should try that though. In 2017, we then decided to move to Atlanta. So it took us a few. Yeah.
All right. So what's a typical day look like for you? Like what time you get up? What do you eat? Do you have a morning routine? I do.
Okay. So typical morning is I get up around 7:00. I work out. I go on a walk with a dog. We have a dog. His name is Magnus. He thinks he's huge, but he's not.
Now, do people stop you for autographs thinking you're Doris Day or anything?
No.
Reincarnated.
Our neighbors know us. And so some neighbors go on a walk with me when I walk the dog. If Magnus allows, other people walking with us. No, I'm just kidding. So then, I come home. My husband every morning makes me incredible cappuccino. We have a cappuccino machine since we've got married that we got from our family, and we moved it from Germany to the U.S. So I have cappuccino. Then I have my first calls. I have my
Wait a minute. Your husband makes it for you, right?
My husband makes it every morning.
So maybe you don't understand this term. You have a Stepford husband. You know what that means?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, there was a famous movie called The Stepford Wives, where they were these robot wives that were just perfect. Look it up.
Stepford husband. Okay. So yes, I do have that. And he's incredible. I love my husband. We've been married for 22 years now. And he's never failed to make me coffee when he's home.
Wow.
He does travel a lot. Then I take my coffee and I go into my office. My office is not a very long commute because I screw the commute as well.
Yep, good.
It is in the building right next to where we live. We built a big training center, and that's where my office is, and that's where I get to work. And then I work from around 9:30, 10 o'clock to around 5 o'clock. And then I go home, I make dinner. We have dinner as a family. Right now, we still have dinner as a family because our daughter is about to leave for college soon. And then it'll just be dinner with my husband and I.
Well, what'd you have to eat in the morning?
Coffee.
Oh, that's it? You had only coffee all day?
I have cappuccino, and then sometime during the day, I might make me some muesli, which is like a German oatmeal with nuts and dried fruit.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And at the week, so the weekdays and the weekends are completely different days, right?
All right.
Of course. On a weekend, on a Sunday, I would either make German waffles. They're better than Belgian waffles.
All right.
And they're oatmeal based. So there's oatmeal and a little bit of flour and a lot of eggs. I either make waffles with Nutella or I make Hefezopf, the German bread. That's a yeast dough that I make before I go on a walk with the dog, so it can proof and rise while I'm out. And then, in the summer we go to the pool, we hang out. If it's not as hot, we go on a bike ride. We do puzzles, we play games.
Now, is this girl that's leaving for college, right?
That's our youngest that's leaving for college.
So you're going to be an empty nester then, right?
Be empty nesters. Yeah. It's crazy.
Right. So do you plan on staying with your husband?
I actually love him. Yes.
Okay. I have several employees and stuff. I ask them that stuff because they're so tied up with their kids. What are you going to do when they leave? That's
Tom, I appreciate that you asked that. And that was one very, very cognizant decision that we made, my husband and I, that when we didn't have children yet, I said, I do not want to lose touch literal touch from you as our children are growing up, because that can get in the way.
Yeah, for
easy.
sure. Yeah, I know people. It's just their whole life is their kids. And then, well, when I said my mother was kind of a nutcase, it really exacerbated because I was the baby, and when I was leaving, oh man, it it was really bad. So,
Yeah.
so very cool, very cool. So, how do you stay motivated? I don't think you need much, but is there any particular techniques you use to when you don't feel like something?
Yeah, that you're right. It doesn't really need a whole lot in motivation. I like to keep lists. I actually have everything that I need to do for this week. It's already in my calendar. So I know when I sit at my desk at 9:30 in the morning, I know what the day's going to look like. And it's pretty well planned out. I guess that's where my German comes through. I'm a pretty planned out person.
Do you
and
drive
that's
a
how
German
I kind
car?
of run our weekends as well. Like, what are we doing? Are we going to go to the pool? Are we going to go to the mall? Do we have to shop for college? Do we have to get a birthday present for Anna? What do we have to do? So I am somewhat of a planner, and that keeps me also motivated. It's always the looking forward what I can do so I can stay present in the moment for my clients.
Do you drive a German car?
I do.
Good. That's why keep your roots, right?
I do. I have a love for a lot of German things and merchandise.
Well, that's the thing about German. If you see "Made in Germany" on anything, all of a sudden that's the best there is. You got to be, So
Yeah.
they do have that reputation for sure.
I do have a tattoo that says that.
A what?
I'm kidding. No, I said I do have a tattoo that says that, but I'm kidding.
All right. So how do they get a hold of you? How do they check out your stuff?
Yeah, really easy. Just Google my name, Brigitta Hoeferle.
Well,
I know it's a
how are they
mouthful,
going to spell it?
once you know how to spell it, you can find me. Because I'm the only one out there. If you just Google my name, the Center of Training comes up, the Center of NLP comes up, the Culture Mastery comes up, the Montessori School comes up. All of those great things come up.
Yeah, you can probably just Google Brigitta and forget about the last name and put Center of NLP.
I tried that. And the only thing that works like that is when you Google Brigitta TEDx and my TED Talk comes up.
Okay, well, there you go. Brigitta,
Yeah.
That's much easier than Hoeferle. That's for
Yeah.
sure. How do you like me pronouncing it, huh?
I do like you pronouncing it. You do a great job.
Only reason because you phonetically put it on your website. But I've heard a lot of people do Hoeferle and Hoeferle. Not me.
I had people call me Brigitta Hopefully, and I'm like, sure, I'll take it.
Oh, well, I get Tom Action all the time with spell check, looks at Antion and spells action. I said, well, that's not too far off, really.
Yeah, and it's not bad to have action as your last name or middle name.
There you go. All right, well, thanks so much for coming on. It's been a blast, folks. This lady is highly esteemed in my world, and you don't hear me saying that very often, that's for sure. So thanks for coming on.
I appreciate you, Tom. Thanks for having me.
Okie doke. All right, everybody, we'll catch y'all on the next episode. See you later.